Hi, folks. Welcome back. This is Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com, back again with another moment for chronic wellness. And I'm so glad you're here. We are continuing our interview with CEO and founder of the platform, The Mighty. It is first-person narrative experiences from health and disability backgrounds and is a powerful place to be a witness to yourself, be a witness for others, get information, exchange information, feel validated. Remember that we are more than these illnesses. So thank you for tuning in for this rich part 2 of my conversation with Mike. Yeah, and what I hear is sort of riding that line between fear and excitement, and knowing that you have the will for this thing to be born, but still, as you say, leap of faith. You just
Yes.
have
Yeah.
to
Absolutely.
make that move. And so at that point, you had, I'm assuming, sort of handpicked and started to assemble a small team of you to.
I hired one person, Meg, our editor in chief, and found her. A good friend of mine had managed her at Huffington Post, and spoke the world of her. So I met up with her, showed her this mock of the site, and she looked at it and said, "This is about people." And she got it. She understood this wasn't about health; it was about people
Yeah.
and their own experiences with health. And that was a signal to me that she got it. Sorry, you may be hearing the sirens in the background. I'll start again. Meg, I hired Meg, our editor in chief, and she really, from the first moment I met her, really understood what the Mighty was all about. I showed her a mock of the site, and she looked and saw every picture had a person in it, and she said, "This is about
Mm.
people." And we were never trying to we weren't trying to be another health publisher. We were trying to be a platform for people to open up and share their experiences. So she and I started it, and within about 4 or 5 months, we had about 500,000 readers a month. And that was a credit to her, in terms of, she did 3 stories a day. She had to go find great content on the internet. We'd reach out to people and say, would they like to write a story for us? Or she might have seen a blog on someone's site and said, wow, I love this. We would like to get it in front of more people. Would you allow us to share this on our platform? And mix of different things. Her job was to get the stories up. My job was to find a way to get them in front of people that would find them meaningful and helpful. And we tried lots of different ways. A lot of things didn't work, but we found some ways that did work, working with nonprofit organizations, partnering with media companies, things like that. And so a lot of things worked. And then we were able to, that was the kind of the proof point we needed to go out and raise money from investors and say, hey, this could be something that grows into something much bigger than this, and really help move the healthcare needle more toward patient-centered experiences, and raising that to a higher level, and putting more focus there, and obviously to be more helpful to folks that were on the platform. So that was, again, about 5-6 years ago when we when we got that going.
How exciting. And and so in the ensuing years, um, how has it changed or grown in ways that you didn't expect, or what has it become that you've been surprised or delighted by?
I think so. Initially, again, coming out of media and publishing. I saw it initially as really as a publisher, that we would publish other people's content, right, and get it in front of other people. And what we saw was such high engagement levels, and we couldn't keep up with the number of people submitting content. And so
Mm.
eventually, we started investing in content first, and the people that would help us, build that content. And then we realized we really have to invest in the technology side,
Mm.
and really build this as a platform to essentially hand over the tools to people, so they didn't need need us as much, and they could open up and share their experiences on their own. Not everybody wants to write a 500-word story, and so it really evolved in that way. And newsletters have become a very big thing for us. I didn't realize that would be a big thing, but we send out over 20 million email newsletters a month now, and for people who sign up for a variety of different emails. And so it's another delivery mechanism to get people's stories out, to get people's experiences out. And we'll be launching soon a daily email that will go out to our community as well.
Wow. What a lot of growth.
Yes, it has been.
The and changing topics for a moment, being the father of not just one child, but 4 children, one of whom has a rare chromosomal disorder that has big impacts for the family. Um, what have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about being in a family that has a child that has special health needs and chronic conditions?
So our family dynamics are different than a lot of other families that I know. So that was, it's just something when we accepted that, it became much easier. I think it's natural for people to look around at their neighbors and say, or we're like this and they're like that. And when we just accepted the fact that, when we go places, we generally take 2 cars because my daughter may not, when they say last very long, she is sensitive to all kinds of things, audible noises, if she's in a loud place, it's really hard for her. Anything that's, overly, stimulating. And so that's one of the things that's just different with us when we go to, a friend's house, not as much now with the pandemic and all that, but in the past and hopefully in the future, like we'll often take 2 cars because it could be that, my wife and boys are hanging out for a longer period of time. But if Annabelle, starts getting really upset, then we're not going to try to force her to be in a situation she really doesn't want to be in.
Mm.
And so, so one of us will leave and take her home or order for ice cream or, something like that. So we had to figure out that there are times when we do things together as an entire family. And there are times when we do much more individual things. Like, for instance, I'm going to take my boys to Yosemite to do some camping in the near future. And that's not something I think my daughter would enjoy. I can't imagine her sleeping in the tent. I can't imagine a lot of things. I just don't think she would enjoy something like that, given, kind of where she's at right now. So we won't do that as a family, but I'll do that with the boys, right? And then but there'll be other times we'll do something just with her.
Yeah.
And so it's just a mix of those things. Some things we can do as a whole family, but everybody needs attention, including the folks that don't have rare diseases, right?
Yeah.
So we just have to kind of find our way through that. And
What I hear in your answer, Mike, is a lifetime's worth of learning with your children about what their needs are, is also surrendering to the norms of, we thought it was going to be this way, or for our neighbors' families it can be this way. And I also hear the lens of, if equality is everybody gets the same thing, and equity is everybody gets what they need,
yeah.
that you're really paying attention to equity in each of those examples that you gave.
So you're saying it better than I did, but yes, I agree with you in that. I think the equity part is, and the kids, even at a young age, they get it. They understand. I remember when my 11-year-old was then, I think he was about 4, and I came home from work one day, and he, I said, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" And he said, "Annabelle's having a rough day." And I'm thinking, what 4-year-old, when you ask that question, is thinking about how his sister is doing, right? But he knew what was happening in the house,
Yep.
and he got it.
Yeah.
And so I do think that the other kids are growing up with a much deeper sense of empathy
Yeah.
than I probably grew up with in my own household.
All right, so this wraps up part 2 of our conversation. Tune in tomorrow. Well, Mike will continue to talk about what he's learned about himself from having a child in his family with special considerations and different abilities. And he's also going to talk to the ways in which that informed the Mighty, and what work he does with other families who also have children born different than they expected them to be. So that will be part 3 as we continue the conversation tomorrow. I'll be sure to check that out. Remember, if you have not subscribed to wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast, I would be grateful if you would, please. And as ever, I'm always, always, always grateful for your comments, your questions, your suggestions about things we should cover next time. And don't forget to check out tomorrow as the interview continues. Thanks so much. Be well.